Right. Hello and welcome to the first episode of Putting In With a Podcast. My name's Sean, the host. Joined today, I have got two of my close friends. I have got Scott and Jake. Scott, do you want to go first and introduce yourself?
Well, you just have.
Well, because it's a voice, so they'll know who it is. So,
Yeah.
Jake.
Hello everyone, I'm Jake.
Oh, and we've got a late arriver, Ronaldo at the last minute. Curtis, do you want to say hello?
Yeah. Yes, now. Hello, all.
I am here.
Brilliant. Yeah, what the podcast is about, and so football and podcast, talk about the past, present, all that good stuff. First episode we've got is a top 10 list from Premier League for midfielders of all time. So we've got us four in this call today, and then we've got 6 of our friends that we've grew up with to give us a list. Essentially how it works, I've seen it on Sharky Does Sports, his podcast. So first place starts by getting 10 points. It'll go down from second, third. It'll be a point less until you get the 10th place, which you get a point for. I've tallied up all the scores. That'll give us a reflection of what everyone in our group thinks of who the best is in the Premier League history. So what we'll start with is some of the players that have been mentioned. So in total there's been 13 different midfielders that have been mentioned for this list. The only one that was mentioned by someone, which was Scott, in 13th place, so he's outside the top 10, is Luka Modric with 1 point. Scott, why have you got Modric? What did he bring to the Premier League?
Not a lot statistically wise, but just his play, he just controlled the midfield. You used to have two people marking him. Just floated about really as like his play style was almost like Pirlo. So I thought he deserved to be in the top 10, 100%.
It was a baller, but would you not see his best years were at Real Madrid?
Oh, he's 100%. But I still think he deserves to be in the run for the Premier League. I don't think he's as high.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I've got him like 8 or 9, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Curtis, Jake, did Modric come into contention for you at any point?
Who's Modric?
Luka Modric.
My argument was just I kind of thought he always did his best business, probably outside the Premier League. If I'm honest, I don't really have can't really touch base with a lot of knowledge of him in the Premier League. I can't say I really watch much of him. Obviously, I rate him as a player, and he's obviously had quite a wide success, doing his bit. Obviously, Ballon d'Or winner as well. But I don't know. Just for me, it didn't really come to mind, if I'm honest. But not a knock on his ability. Just other people kind of stand out for me.
It was class, to be fair, because I say us, just a disclaimer, we are of a newer generation, so the likes of Kane and Vieira and stuff like that. For me anyway, I've missed all of them. So growing up, Modric was the prime time. So I knew how good he was. Jake, you seem to have a better memory though of the older people. But what did you think of Modric though?
I mean, he's a brilliant player, but in terms of the all-time Premier League top 10, I don't think he gets a shout really. I mean, his stats alone on anything to shine about him. I think he's got 130 appearances roughly or something, not nowhere near 20 goals or 20 assists. But it was more of his quality on the ball and what he did for the actual team and the players around him. There's an argument to say that's maybe where he shone the best, and he helped Gareth Bale to become sort of what he became in the end as well.
Yeah, well, good points. I said we won't spend too much time on people outside the top 10, the dusty ballers, but 12th place we've got Xabi Alonso. So, fun fact, Lee had Xabi Alonso in 10th, and Dylan had Alonso in 9th. So in total, he got 3 points. What do you think of Alonso?
Absolute wizard.
I completely forgot about Alonso. To be fair, he actually never even jumped into my mind until you've said it now.
Yeah. Fantastic player, but his years were definitely outside of.
100%. It was Real where I think he probably took off.
I say with obviously me watching Liverpool that much growing up, Alonso I thought of him straight away, but he doesn't make my top 10. but he was unreal. Like obviously Gerrard and Torres had that like combination, but they wouldn't be able to do any of it without Alonso. Like Alonso was like the Gerrard was playing more of a
Just
10.
the maestro, really.
Yeah, he was. Gerrard was more like of the 10 at that point in his prime. Which like Alonso was just like dictating the play and getting him the ball. So Alonso was class. Curtis, what about you, Alonso?
Again, he seemed alright. Just not really sort of one that I would consider in my top 10. I can't really add much more onto what you've covered. Quality, obviously did well. Did obviously good outside of the Premier League as well. I think it was Real Madrid he went for after, but
I think it's
probably
similar
again,
to Modric again, isn't it?
yeah, again, not really seen. I never really can see I sort of seen much of him. But it's probably one where I've heard, never heard anything bad of it. But the more recent stuff I've seen, or the more say was when he was out of the Prem. So kind of tying it to just Premier League. Then kind of where I was thinking with that one.
Yeah, fair enough. We've got one more player before we get to the top 10. So 3 people in total had this person in the list. He actually had a role named after him in football. It's Claude Makelele. So Cameron had him the highest in 7th position. Jake, you also had him in at 10th, and Lee had him in 8th. So we got a total of 8 points. So these 3 people, like I say, the Modric, Alonso, Makelele, they're quite a way off, to be fair, of 10th place. There's about 14 points off in total, so there's a bit of a jump. But that's it. Makelele again, just someone I didn't really remember watching unless I go back. I know obviously he was top class, but it just didn't. He crossed my mind, but not for me. I couldn't put him in. But let's see, Jake, you've got him in there. Why is that?
I mean, it's pretty well colloquially known and used in football now. That actual position is known as the Makelele role.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not many players that sort of have that name in a position named after them. You've got people that draw comparisons in centre midfield to Kane and Vieira, but what Makelele brought was a very different kind of role. He was quite small, in stature he wasn't as big. Force was roaming around and barging people off the ball. He was just, in a way, a bit like everybody got the team. Again, a brilliant player, and I think in their season when he came, Chelsea finished like 2nd in the table in the league behind Arsenal, and I think it was their invincible season actually. But he was a fantastic midfielder, all round brilliant player.
Yeah, he was good. I say we'll move straight into the 10th position. Just how you were mentioning there's a lot of players that do draw comparison to him, and the 10th position is arguably this generation's version, N'Golo Kante. So Kante. So let's see where everyone had him. So Cameron had him in 6th, Chris 8th position, Dylan 10th, Curtis in 10th, Kyle in 10th, Lee in 5th place, Tom in 10th, and I had him in 7th, and Scott and Jake, you left Kante out altogether.
Yeah.
How? Talk to us.
Wowzers.
Yeah, just I went off mine for not just like one aspect of football, and Kante is like hands down, if not one of the best holding midfielders. But I just think it's all defensive, and I don't think he's got much to show offensively. He can control the midfield, but I just don't think he's done enough to go into my top 10.
Yeah. What about his impact?
Is he
the Premier League? Like, what was he bought for? Like pennies? What was it? I don't even know how much it was. I think Leicester bought him for about 5 million, unknown. He's came in, him, Vardy, and Mahrez carried Leicester to a Premier League, then bought by Chelsea and carried them to a Premier League. Like, he's just different class. Obviously, he's World Cup and stuff. I know it's taken into Premier League, but it's just his effect. He lets, like Pogba. Pogba's been. I wouldn't even consider Pogba this top 10. I think he's overrated. Really, he's got the talent, but he just doesn't work for it. But Kante allowed him to do what he does. You know what I mean? I think that's what he brings.
Yeah.
He's got the legs.
The greatest compliment for Kante, I suppose, is it's not so much like his skillful ability or his passing ability or shooting ability or anything that's minded, if you like. It's more of what he gives every other player, and sort of getting into the mix and reading the game or catching up the players who are on a break and giving the team like position and time to reset or cover a transition. So he helps the players around him in whatever team he goes into. He doesn't really have to play in a world class team for the players to be class. He can sort of bring them with him just by playing his game, which is just put the ball away from other players and try give it to someone else.
Yeah, because I say he came in 10th with 22 points, so I say that's 14 points more than Makaleli. I say for me, like, where did I have Kante? I had him in 7th. Like, I can't not have someone who's won a Premier League with a partner in centre midfielder with Danny Drinkwater. I don't know how they've managed it, like, but just unbelievable. Curtis, what do you think about Kante?
Well, we were speaking about it before as well. Like, I think Kante was a massive, huge part of that Leicester trio as well. When we were on about the Mahrez, Vardy, Kante, and then he came into the Chelsea squad, and I think there's quite a lot of times when players kind of go into the top end teams and they either kind of flake out or don't perform. But Kante's just been such a vital part of that ever since he's sort of been at Chelsea, and he's just his domain in the centre of midfield. He's just a nightmare just watching him go. Never stops, closing everyone down. He's definitely a person that I just rate him so much. And again, he's kind of seems to have kind of came out of nowhere. And then done his bit at Leicester, which is just an unbelievable kind of storyline for him. And then now performing at Chelsea, Champions Leagues under his title as well as Premier League. So, absolute baller. And I'd say I rate his grind, even though he isn't the most maybe sort of technically gifted. Maybe not. Obviously, we'll go down the list. You're going to have people who can fizz balls out of nowhere and long range, drives of unbelievable worldy shots. But for Kante, it's more it's the basics he gets right, and he's unbelievable at what he does. So if you want to put him high on your list, I wouldn't argue. Missing him out your list, I think you're nuts. I don't know, and I know nothing about football, but you still missing out of this. That is crazy to me. But
well, I can tell you now, I promise you, there's some more mental shouts coming from that. That's not even scratching the surface so far. So, we'll get into that shortly. 9th position.
Wait. Can I go back? Sure. Can I go back? Why didn't you two have Kante in your top 10? Because that's not what we did. We didn't answer that there. Why
didn't I get Kante in?
What is it that didn't get him in your top 10? Yeah.
So when I was doing the list,
you don't have to compare him to every player and stuff.
No. I'm basing my list off of what I think is an overall footballing ability.
Yeah, that's the same with me, and obviously
I'm not really looking at accolades or longevity or trophies and awards as such. Just rather what I see in that player whenever I've watched anything of them. So it's a very raw opinion, and that's not just watching a YouTube highlights, because that's when you see the best of them. Mm-hmm. This is watching, Googling a game that they've played, whether they've played well or not. Just watching that game and looking at where they were in their position in the game. That's why Makaleli gets in my list,
Premier League,
as opposed to
Sky Sports. No, that's fair enough. It's that's what makes football debates so different though. I know a few people in this list, like Kyle. He's took stuff into trophies into consideration and stuff like that. So it's interesting, going off just pure football ability, who you think's the best complete player and stuff. So that's what makes it so different. So a good one. What about you, Scott? Are you just the same as Jake?
Seems about right.
Yeah, pretty much.
I thought you'd left there. I was like, what's going on? So you're just the same. Have you just done it based off more individual talent, or have you took them both into consideration, trophies, all that stuff?
No, I've just went on individual talent, to be fair.
Fair enough. No worries. So so in ninth position, then we'll move up to there. So this person has actually finished level on points with Kante. So the way I've separate them out to see who finishes higher, I've looked at the list to see who was involved in more lists. So Kante was in 8 out of 10 of people's lists, and the next person was in 9 out of 10 people's lists. The only person's list he does not make was Cameron's, and that's Cesc Fabregas.
Leave Fabregas out.
Unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable baller. Like, see, for me, I'll tell you the positions now. So Chris has got him in 9th, Dylan has got him in 7th, Jake is in 9th, Curtis 7th, Kyle 9th, Lee 9th, Scott 9th, Tom 8th, and me 10th. Like I say, he was unreal. I feel
that's pretty close together.
It is. Everyone's had the same kind of opinion. He's top 10 for sure. And it is quite low, but it's just he has to be in the top 10 though. Like I say, it was Fabregas or Alonso for me, and I know obviously I loved Alonso growing up, but the Fabregas, what he's done, I think he's got over 100 assists in the Premier League. 111. Yeah, he's got 111 assists in the Premier League, and that's more than Gerrard. You know what I mean? Gerrard assists, Lampard assists. I think, yeah, he's got more assists than Lampard in the Premier League as well. And he had that little stint out in Barcelona as well. Like I say, I always picture Fabregas when he was playing for Arsenal. That was just, I think he changed the way Wenger played football. 'Cause he had the Vieira system from Fabregas came in, and it just changed the way Arsenal played. But his season at Chelsea as well, his link up with Diego Costa when they won the league was just unbelievable.
How old was he when he was at Chelsea?
I'm not too sure. Fabregas.
He's still going, isn't he?
Time.
I think he's on Monaco currently, is he?
Oh, he's in Monaco.
Yeah, I was going to say longevity-wise for him, because I'm sure he was...
He's 34 at the minute, and that was in 2016, so he must have been 29, 30-ish when he was at...
Right.
He's only 34?
Only 34, aye.
God, I feel like he's been about for time, to be fair.
Oh,
I don't know.
So
he's older.
So I'm looking
He's
now.
playing Arsenal from 2003.
Yeah, so Arsenal, he was from Arsenal 2003 to 2011, made 212 appearances. Barcelona, he was 2011 to 2014 with 96 appearances. Chelsea 2014 to 2019, 138 games, and then Monaco he's been at since 2019. I thought he was older than that.
That's what I said.
But he is a winner. I'm not too sure. Arsenal, yeah, he was in that. Then we're going through the Invincibles and stuff like that. 2014, 2015. I'm just because he was close to breaking one of the assist records. I'm sure. I'm just trying to find it. I'm not too sure. We'll come back to it anyway. Scott, what do you think of Fabregas?
Unbelievable. I'm actually going to be a bit controversial here. I almost took Fabregas out.
He's unbelievable, but you almost took him out. Are you?
Yeah, I was gonna. I nearly swapped him for Mata.
I remember Mata. Mata was a baller. I think Mata is a bit slept on at Chelsea. What has he got played?
He was unbelievable.
What season was that? Mata.
No, was he? 2013, wasn't it?
Roughly about that time. It was just.
It's 2012 and 2013, I think.
It was baller Mata. I said at United though. How long's he been? He's been there for about 4 or 5 years now, but.
What my argument would be, just thinking about it with Mata though, if he was I do remember him being about with Chelsea. I can't say he was unbelievable, but longevity wise, you can't you may know more if you've been bashing him, but I don't think he's been performing at the same output that he may have done for 1 or 2 years. Since then, has he not really kind of dropped off into the background quite a bit?
So that's it. So he didn't win PFA Player of the Year. He got for Chelsea. It was back to back, the best Chelsea Player of the Year. So you got that 2011 to 2012, then 2012 to 2013. He got that back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's won a canny bit so.
I think for me the thing what put Fabregas in was for how long he'd done it. Even when he switched clubs. I mean, obviously Matt doesn't play now as much, but That was what done it for me, but I almost did take Fabregas out.
So there's one moment for Fabregas I remember. So he was injured, and he do you remember that free kick or not? The commentary on it, I can't remember what it was, because Chris MD uses it in his videos. Let's have a look. Fabregas free kick. He was injured. I don't know if he it didn't break his leg, but I'm pretty sure it was something.
Wait, who left Fabregas out? Cameron,
yeah.
What's Cam playing at?
Cam's cap. If Cam doesn't have who I think he's got at top, would just discard his vote, man.
I say, well, it is close at the top. I'll not even lie. It's
Wait,
so,
there's
so
three
close.
men. There's three men.
Well, let's hostile and get to the mains, man. I mean, there you go. It's all about one matter, man. Come on.
Right, we'll go from Fabregas. So number 8, 35 points. So that is 13 more than Fabregas. Let's have a look, see who wasn't in his list. So he wasn't in Lee's list, and he was in everyone else's, and that was Roy Keane. 8th place. What do you think of that?
I think he should be higher.
So I'll tell you where he finished. So Cameron 9th, Chris 10th, Dylan 5th, Jake 5th, Curtis 9th, Kyle 5th, Scott 6th, Tom 6th, and me, Adam in 9th. Again,
I think round anywhere between 4 to 7. I can agree with and accept, but I think if you put in beyond, at the back end of this list, it's almost criminal, really.
See for me,
he led United in the best years.
Probably this younger generation, and we're not really in that Keane era.
Which
was for him. So it makes it hard. But if you watch as much as you can about Keane and what he did for that Man United team,
oh, he's influential. There's no doubt about it. It's hard.
The reason I can't put him so highly is it's not just about his footballing ability in this one. It's also his leadership side that he brought. And striking fear in the nastiness, the tunnel, just that sort of camaraderie and leadership. You look forward and you see Keane, who's just this mental nutcase, ready to knock anyone out in the other team just to win you the ball, and that's a powerful factor to have in a team.
Yeah, but if you're talking nowadays, though, mate, if you put Roy Keane in a team, try and put him in a Man City lineup, mate, he's not that. He's not getting.
Yeah.
Football's
about.
So when you say it's criminal, not put him higher up, what we've seen, the talent we've seen, and obviously who is going to be higher up in the list. Fair enough if you're from that generation and you grew up with that style of football, but for me, I get you. Leadership wise, fair enough. No nonsense, no bullshit. You can see him on the on the TV presenting, man. He's probably he's probably got better input than most of the people from the Man United squad now. He seems to be the only one who gives a damn. But it's too kind of.
Yeah, he's always been one of those players who give a shit though. But you can't knock him off because he's. You can't bring him into this era because the game's changed so much. You don't get fouls you get fouls a lot easier nowadays than I think you did back then. In that era, you completely flatten somebody and take both feet off the floor and get away with it more often than you could now. When your feet off the floor in this day and age, and it's a red card every time. So it's arguably harder for defenders.
If you could pick one person to captain your team, or who else would you pick apart from Keane? In an ideal world, if you could pick any player to captain your team, you're going to pick Keane, aren't you?
No, you're going to pick Jordan Henderson, mate. I have nothing more to say about that. Next question. Next question.
No, absolutely ludicrous.
Roy Keane's ninth. Next question. Roy Keane's ninth.
You are absolutely ludicrous.
No,
he's a great leader, yes, but again, he's Roy Keane. On the ball. Can you point out any?
Are you putting Henderson above Keane?
No. But that was jokes. But like I say, it's all about Keane. It's for me, it's hard to rate proper old school players because it's old school football. Roy Keane's never fizzing in a pass a worldie across. He's not closing down in the modern day game, which I'd argue is harder than what it was back in the day because football is so much technical, it's so much more evolved. obviously he was under probably arguably one of the best.
Modern day. You just
Well,
can't.
no,
Like,
no,
he
because
won
like
Player of the Month.
no, because you're asking who the
October
best is, in my
1988.
opinion. Like, say that again, sorry, mate.
Like, he's winning Player of the Month in 98 and 99. You can't bring him into the modern day, in the modern game.
But are you
can't
almost arguing
choose
that that's
it or
not
imagine.
worth winning it now? Like, because I'd argue that no, it's not. I'd say winning Player of the Month in this era is probably a lot better than what it is in '98. If you think I'm wrong, let me know. But that's how I personally believe. So to put him higher,
Yeah, I mean, that's what.
like,
the list.
obviously, I won't say any other names we've got, but I don't know. Like, he makes the list. He makes the list, but he's not. He's not broadening that top six. For me,
I'd put him around like the halfway mark. I'd put him like five or six.
I think there's a bit of like I say, there's a lot of variance between where we've got Kane and, like, say, I've got him low. Like, say I've got him 9th. Jake, you've got him 5th. You've got him the highest. So it is chopping and changing, but it's all, like I say, I don't know how good he was as a captain and stuff and what he brought to the team, but can I justify him going higher than any of the people I've got in this list at the minute? I cannot, as much as I like Kane. So, like, it's one of those ones, but we'll go to the next one, because for this bloke here, he has had one of the best, like, single seasons. He was class, but one of the season he had was just unreal, and it's a Yaya Toure. So Yaya is in everyone's list. So Cam had him in 8th, Chris 7th, Dylan 8th, Jake 8th, Curtis 6th, Kyle 7th, Lee in 6th, Scott in 8th, Tom in 9th, and myself in 8th. So realistically, Curtis, you've got him the highest, and everyone's got him either 7th or 8th. So it is pretty unanimous around that kind of
Curtis
area.
have him?
6th.
Yaya Toure was built like a freak of a man. The size, the power, the speed, free kick accuracy, like in the midfield, the man was a nightmare. Absolute nightmare.
I say that season he had was 2013-14. So from, like, central midfield, he had 35 games, he got 20 goals, 13 assists, and, like you say, Curtis there,
come on,
he had from 13 set piece attempts, he got 10 goals from. Like,
you're taking the piss. You're taking the piss, man. Come on.
Like, and then that's when City also won the Premier League title last season as well. So it is
mental,
criminal how good he was. Actually, at Barcelona previously and stuff, he's had a really good career. Again, though, like, for how long he done it for? Like, he was at City from how long? Maybe like 5-6 years. Like, the people on the list I've got above. I don't know. It's close. It is too close to call, but Yaya Toure for that season. That's why he gets into my list, because that was one of the best seasons I've seen. He was an animal. It
was outrageous.
I remember playing Newcastle and he just tore apart, like, outrageous. Like,
I enjoyed him on that FIFA as well, because he was just broken in real life as much as he was in the game. Just unreal.
Scott will definitely have him in the team because he was smashing the packs.
Scott was bagging him every year, man.
Do you remember watching Sunderland playing at Wembley against City, and the ball just on the edge of the box and across his body, and he just, like,
curl top left,
nonchalant, just finesses it into the top left perfectly.
I can still remember texting you at half time, Sean, saying, this is it, we've got it in Europe. Yaya Toure hit that second half. I was like, mate.
I was at Dylan's house. I was at Dylan's house with Tom, Lee, and Dylan. And it was a Bruyne who scored for you.
Yeah, Bruyne.
Like
I say, they were going mental, and Toure put that in, and me and Tom were in disbelief, like, because honestly,
I was gonna say Bosley scored against Man U, didn't he?
I mean, when a player pulls out a moment like that, that's just pure solo brilliance. It just totally deflates any team. And that's one of the brilliant factors he got with Yaya Toure, is he'd often pick up the ball in the middle of the pitch and then just run past everybody like a train, and you couldn't try and tackle him.
As well. He could move so well.
Yeah, that man could.
He's
a journey for a bloke that size was stupid. Yeah, he was stupid for a bloke built like that.
So when you go forwards and you build them at 6'9" and put all the pace cards.
When I have him.
Yeah, where did you two have him?
Scott and Jake.
9.
Scott had.
I've got 8.
Yeah, Jake in 8th. Scott had him in 8th as well.
8th. Nah, you two are still good, man.
I had him in 8th as well. I had him in 8th as well. Let's say it's just
Sean, you're clapped.
because I didn't see how many points he got. So yeah. So him and Kane actually ended on the same points. So again, just to make sure how I got the list to make it fair, I looked at how many people had them in the list. So because
if you're choosing Roy Keane over
Lee's left out Roy Keane in his team, so Yaya was in everyone's team where Roy Keane wasn't.
If I was gonna have a team and I needed a central midfielder, I would pick Keane over Toure.
Well, you are clapped. You are absolutely clapped.
You would pick Jordan Henderson over Toure?
No, I wouldn't. Yeah, would I pick Jordan Henderson and followed up by Yaya Toure? Like, I don't know how. Why would you ever go Keane over Yaya Toure? Oh my God! You literally just heard the stats. The guy is gonna win you the game, control the game, box to box, cause chaos, break everything down, and then score you a winner with a free kick if you manage to get one outside the box. So what's Roy Keane gonna do? Slag everyone. He's gonna be slagging everyone. Come on.
Don't get us wrong. I think
Roy Keane's not more than that.
Kane was overlooked for his talent, I think, because of how ferocious he was, and they remember him for his talent.
Yeah, he was one of a kind.
But don't get us wrong. I don't think you can tie Yaya's boots like.
Right, Sean. You're telling Roy Keane, Yaya Toure. Who's on your team?
Oh, Yaya.
Jake, Yaya Toure, Roy Keane. Who's on your team?
Say Yaya.
Move on. Next.
Right, we'll go next. So, 6th place
I've still got Kane high in Toure though.
Next.
Well, 6th place we've got Kane's arch rival, Big Patrick.
Oh,
yeah.
Big V.
And this is one of the most.
You take over Vieira and Yaya Toure.
No, boys, let's just say this. So
That's
we've got Vieira.
though.
So Vieira is in 6th place with 50 points. So he's 15 points higher than Yaya Toure. And this is one of the most criminal shouts we've got. So Cam is in 4th position. Chris is in 5th. Dylan 6th. Jake 6th. Curtis 8th. Kyle 6th.
8th?
Scott, no, just wait for it. Kyle 6th. Scott 4th. Tom 5th. Sean in 5th. Lee has left out Vieira in his top 10 list completely.
Oh my God, he doesn't have it. Why are you asking?
Hang on a minute. Lee has left out Roy Keane and Vieira.
Yeah, in his defence, when I was asking him about, he did have a bit of drink, so I did VR check the list in the morning with him. He did say he just can't remember watching them play, so he just refuses.
Did you not go?
That's fair.
He's took the same stance with both of them, saying I can't remember watching them play, so I'm leaving them out, which is fair enough. Like, I'm like the same. I can't remember much, but I just look back. Like I say, I remember watching like the Man U Arsenal games, like what Jake was saying, and Vieira was just like a Rolls Royce. He was just a beast. Like
Scott was at the games, man. The way he's talking about Roy Keane Vieira, man. Scotty and Jake were the
he was shaking Alex Ferguson's hand and high fiving Eddie Guerrero on the same day.
Yeah, man, they were coaching next to Ferguson, man. They were man. Yeah, come on, man. I mean, go on though, because obviously you will know a lot more about Vieira. He's never on the list though, but I'll let you go because I think you've got them higher.
Them two single-handedly captained and led the two greatest teams that we've seen. You had the fucking Arsenal squad that never fucking lost, and then obviously you had the fucking
Invincible.
Yeah, and then you had fucking Man U.
I say Vieira. If you look at his stats on base value, it depends. Oh, sorry, face value. Sorry, it depends on how you view the game. Like you had 307 games in the Premier League, 31 goals and 34 assists. So when you're comparing that to the likes of like your Silvers, your Gerrard, stuff like that, it's not the same. But Vieira
it's not the same. But I with mine, I haven't went off like statistics. That's why Modric is in mine.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't went off stats.
Yeah, this is a three-time Premier League winner, and his impact though since when he left Arsenal after that FA Cup, they weren't the same. Like they've never replaced Vieira. It's just fact. He was just a baller. But let's say in that team though, when you had like Vieira, Bergkamp, Henry, all them, Perez, and that, like, they're just a team, like.
Thierry.
No. Jake, what would you say about Vieira?
So you've gone, mate. Sorry.
No, he's one of those. You know exactly what you're going to get when you watch him for one game because he was just brilliant at it. Every single game, he brought the same presence on the pitch in the middle of the park. And in that Arsenal team, there's a couple of players you could argue wouldn't have got to the heights they were, maybe if he wasn't there doing his work. So I think that's partly why he gets a bigger shout over some players. Obviously, my lists are going to be different to everyone else's, but I think he's not better than Keane in my eyes. But I think that the battle between them two is just,
it's
I
historic,
would
isn't it?
I would say Vieira over Keane, like.
It's still talked about
Yeah,
today, the Vieira and Keane battles.
yeah.
Just,
Everyone's it's everyone's divided on that one.
Why is he? Why would you put Keane above him?
Why would I put Keane above Vieira?
Yeah.
Probably for the
Did you?
You just said that. I'm asking him. That's what I'm asking him. Yeah, why would you do it? Why would you put? What is it Keane did though? Or what is it? Yeah, what did he did that edge on the head?
I think it's just probably like Vieira had a nasty side to him, but it was more like it was prompted and triggered, whereas Keane had it in abundance, just ready to go, and used it at will whenever he wanted to threaten or like scare or intimidate opponents. And that's for me something that I'd like in a quality of a central midfield player. Is if a person is going to be running towards you, I think Kane would just give off a more intimidating presence than Vieira. And that's going to be debated between whoever listens to this and
there's no right or wrong answer is there. It's just opinion.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at it like I'm not going off the stats on it. I'm just looking at what I saw when watching them play and relating that to if I was playing against them or with them, what would I see from that player? What would they offer me if I was playing around them? Not that I'm ever going to play with any of these or play in the Premier League ever because I'm rubbish at football. But it's nice to imagine and it helps you get a perspective of what did those players around them gain from that person. So I think you've got things like cutting the ball out and playing it out wide. Keane and Vieira just bullying the midfield. You don't see anyone really like that nowadays.
I think the main factor to take away from this debate anyway is that if I give out Lee's address, then Ty from Arsenal Fan TV is going to be at his door, ready to scrap. Being outside of the 10,
I don't know.
The top 10 is criminal.
His list in it.
Yeah. Nah, but wait, I'll back him. If he's saying that because he strictly hasn't watched him though, and I'm not exactly going to say I'm Vieira and Roy Keane's biggest fanboy, but like if he's strictly going off what he has seen, I think that's where it's coming from, rather than him just saying, yeah, I've seen Vieira, overrated little cock monster. No, that's not the case. He's generally just probably not seen him, and it's very difficult for him just to blag that. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty much blagging it because it's pretty much the case. Like I wasn't there to see it. I wasn't there to see the absolute rivalry between the two, and I'm not talking like I've been there. None of that. But just from rumors, from seeing little highlights here and there, or whatever, like everyone will always see them two were like just carnage players obviously from it was almost like a ruthless aggression era of football. To be fair, because that was when you were just like really going in hard, like committing everything, just like you get away with murder in some respects. But like you say, if he's just claiming it on the sheer fact, he doesn't know because he's seen it. He's not really rated it, so that's definitely where it's coming from. Just to clear up, so he doesn't actually get like punched out of it.
For this Keane Vieira side, Scott, you might probably want to chip in after this. Is with Vieira, what you probably got a bit more of is that baller like quality, and his dribbling technique, and able to hold up the ball and then run forward with it. He's done a lot more maybe than Keane, and that's why I think a lot of people would score him maybe higher in their list.
Moving on.
Aye, fair enough.
Cheers, Scott.
Cheers, Jeff.
Cheers, Jeff.
We'll go
Moving on.
to the next one. So, fifth place with 55 points. So, 5 points above Vieira. So, some could argue if Lee had Vieira in the list, and if some man didn't have this man as number one on their list, then they might be switched around. But officially,
I can already sense this is bollocks. I can already sense this is bollocks.
in fifth place, we have got Kevin De Bruyne, and
Oh, never mind.
he was named the. You thought it was Scorsese there, didn't you?
No, I'm not saying nothing.
So Kevin De Bruyne. So position. So Cam had him in fifth place. Chris was in fourth. Dylan not on his list at all. Curtis.
Shut up, man.
Fuck off.
Curtis, fifth place. Kyle eighth. Lee third. Scott fifth. Tom seventh. Me sixth. And Jakey, first. Best Premier League player of all, midfielder of all time.
Right, can I just say, me and Scott, we know what the Scott. Jake is deluded, and me and Scott know what's going down. That's what I heard right there. That's what I'm saying right there. Number one, wow.
Absolute shite.
Wow.
So, Jake,
Are we
I'm
swearing
gonna
this,
say
Sean?
so. Just
have we got a bleep? We should. I don't know.
Nah,
we'll
it's
just
fine.
keep
Man.
rolling.
Say what you want, man.
Just keep rolling, I guess.
Who cares?
I mean, I've never really seen a centre midfield player, really hit a ball better than Gerrard, and this man is probably one who either trumps him or comes exactly close and behind with them.
Scott,
Nah.
don't worry. It's
De
our
Bruyne.
time will come. Our time will come.
So,
Our time will
We'll
come.
get to that later on, but
Our time will come.
So I'll name some stats I've got for De Bruyne here. So far he's had 189 games in the Premier League, 44 goals, 78 assists. He's won Player of the Season once. He's won 2 Goal of the Month awards. He's a 3-time Premier League champion, and he's won the assists. Who's got the most assists in the league? He's done that twice. So it's safe to say he knows the way around a football. Let's put it that way. But first place is a bit outrageous still, considering he's still
because
playing.
he's still playing. Yeah, but I mean, I'm going from, like I say, not so much the trophies and awards perspective, just the quality of the player, and to me, he is leaps above the rest.
What, like, as in now, what do you mean all the time? So
this is helping my hangover this day.
Honestly, the man can ball, like, just the vision, the speed of play that he's playing with that. I don't think you could get Scholes operating in the.
Why are we always attacking Scholes as well?
Yeah, no.
Always
Sucks
Scholes.
his daughter's toes.
Gerrard's always lamps to Gerrard. It's always
Exactly.
Scholes we attack.
You were bringing this up about the modern day, right? And I don't think you could put other players in that team and that kind of forward passing at that speed. That match pace City play is outstanding, and for him to have that kind of vision, but also the ability to match it and play those passes perfectly, it's just incredible, an incredible player. And that's why, for me, he gets the top spot. He's the best, I think.
All I'm going to say is, right, I'm going to say one thing, right? At the minute, if I was going to pick a Manchester City midfielder to be in my team, I would not take De Bruyne.
Would you take Rodri?
I would take...
You take Bernardo.
I'd take Bernardo Silva.
His form at the minute is cracked.
Yeah, he's peaking form, like.
I think
but again, he's got
De Bruyne and injuries. That's the thing with him. Like,
big injuries, bro.
Yeah,
injuries.
He is.
It'll be an interesting question if at the end of the podcast I ask you, out of everyone in your list, if you take them at the peak of their powers, the very, very best, where they've just came off of the best game they've ever played in, would you rank them in different positions or a different order? Because then it would be interesting. If you're not going off of just overall all time, you're going off of at the very, very best pinnacle of their playing ability. Mm-hmm. It might be a different list.
I say that we've got
mine would be the same.
We've got some people here that's still to come that are big game players, and De Bruyne's
big game players.
Yeah,
big game
Champions
players.
League winners, all that stuff, scoring in finals and stuff, and
scoring against the best teams in the world.
De Bruyne, last time I seen him in the Champions League final, he got hit with a Rey Mysterio 619 and
Mate, where was he? Where was he, man, in that game? Obviously, he came off injured, but
that's why.
Come on. When did he come off? It was like 60 minutes in. Timo Werner had a better game than Kevin De Bruyne that game, man. Come on.
Won the Champions League as well.
Yeah, no.
If we move to fourth place, though, fourth place is one of my favourite players of all time. I can't remember a match or a season where he ever took time off, and that's David Silva. He was a joke. Like I can't remember David Silva ever being like at the minute De Bruyne. He's been out of form, all that stuff. David Silva was never ever out of form. He was always balling.
And you got to remember again, Kevin De Bruyne. He's not finished his career yet as well. By the way, you know what I mean. So you have to see.
I think happens it's a recency bias, of course. Like you'll look back in a few years and you'll be like, look what he's achieved and stuff. But it is hard to compare to.
I mean,
how old is he now? How old
is he? 30. He's to 30, De Bruyne.
Is he? No way. Wow.
For KDB, right? The reason he's there at number one for me is just purely on his ability.
Talent.
Jake, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know he's 30. I think you got to take him off number one now.
No, he's not. He's
Kevin De Bruyne is there purely on bad decision making. That's all he's there for.
Nah, man, I wouldn't laugh at his opinion, man. It's just opinions, mad. But that's fair.
David Silva, like you say, 309 games. So when you let's compare the De Bruyne off face value. So De Bruyne 189 games, so a lot less games. He's got 44 goals, 78 assists. David Silva has got 60 goals and 93 assists in 309 games. So we're talking about 120 more games. David
How many
Silva's
more goals
played.
did he have, sorry?
So goals, he's got about 16 more goals than De Bruyne, and he's got about 15 more assists than De Bruyne, and he's played 120
more games.
So, like I say, when you look
at
it,
is De Bruyne going to get that many games at 30? You know what I mean? The way Man City are playing, and not to get another injury as well.
Like I say, that's all hearsay, isn't it? It's all say, what if?
Did anyone leave David Silva out?
Surely not.
Also, there was a mad shot with David Silva, yes. So, it was in everyone's list. So, Chris had him in third place, Dylan had him in third place, Jake had him in fourth place, Curtis had him in fourth place, Kyle again fourth place, Lee fourth place, Scott had him in seventh, Tom in fourth, myself in fourth, and then Cameron had him down in 10th place.
Campaign, he does not. That's his skewed as well.
Sure, I think you need to rewrite who you ask these fucking questions to.
Yes, for David Silva.
Hey, to be fair, Cameron's list isn't too bad.
I thought nah.
That's it. Lee's like the one Lee done before the one he gave us. Like I say, when I asked Lee, he had Scholes in 10th and Xabi Alonso in 3rd. And I was like, well, that's just wrong. Like
what? Are you taking the piss?
And he had a bit of drink, and I was like, right, I'll come back here in the morning and we'll double check that again because that is just outrageous. And then it has changed since then.
Delete his number, mate.
But as soon as you said Xabi Alonso in 3rd, I was like, you are smoking some mad stuff, like. But so David Silva we've got in 4th place, 3rd place. They're getting to the big boys now. So there's 3 names I haven't said.
This is bullshit now because I've already worked out how this is going down.
So 3rd place on 73 points, so he's got 10 points more than David Silva, is the man who sucks his daughter's toes, Paul Scholes.
Bollocks. Right, where was he in?
Why do you think?
Right, where was he? Where was he? Who had thingy Silva in 3rd? Who was that?
David Silva in 3rd, Dylan and Chris.
Chris and who?
Chris and Dylan.
Dylan, where'd they have Scholesy? Don't you dare say that on the list.
I will read them off here. So Scholes, it was in everybody's list. So Cameron had him in 3rd. Chris had him in 6th place.
Fucking Chris. My God.
Dylan, to get worse, Dylan had him in 4th. Curtis had him in 1st. Carl had him in 1st as well. Lee had him in 7th. Scott had him in 2nd. Tom had him in 3rd. I had him in 3rd. And Jake had him in 7th.
Wait, sorry. Who had him in 1st? Cam?
3rd. So 3rd place is Cam. That's why he put him. The only people that's put Scholes top is yourself and Kyle. Scott had
I
him in
always like
second.
Kyle. I always like Kyle.
I had him in third.
I had him in second.
But
Scott.
Lee and Jake had him in 7th place.
Who?
I still put him over Gerrard though.
Lee and Jake.
Lee and Jake had him in 7th.
Oh man. Oh my god.
Hell.
Right. Oh my god. So so who the fuck did you put? You put KDB first, second.
Sucks his daughter's toes, and then all of a sudden De Bruyne's better than him.
Jake, man, you gotta keep those outside of football matters to one side.
Oh, Jake, let's have a look. Why have you got
Scholes
so low?
Why is he 7th? Why?
I just think he's overhyped. He wouldn't even tie Lampard or Gerrard's boots.
I mean, it's facts. You're not saying anything wrong.
6, Jake? What about the other 6?
What do you mean?
You've got him 7th, and you've named arguably top 3, top 2 out of 3.
I've got Vieira. I've got Vieira ahead of him. I've got Kane ahead of him.
Wow. Oh my.
I've got David Silva ahead of him.
Yeah, I mean,
Vieira,
don't get us wrong. Lampard and Gerrard are better facts, but I mean, even though you know I don't like Scholes, you know I don't like Scholes.
Again, your like defense in this argument against why I've got him so high is because you've made your list under something different.
You know you don't, because you can't. I'm not even claiming. Oh yeah, Scholes is
also
more Gerrard. Let's not forget that. But
before the game, beyond that, and hitting it like the odd wonder strike and volley.
The odd wonder strike. Do you know
didn't rate him as much, mate. Didn't rate him as much.
Well, let's have a look at these stats. Let's have a look. Premier League stats for Paul Scholes. So, just loading up now. So, Premier League record, he played 499 games. He scored 107 goals and he got 55 assists.
Ridiculous.
Premier League, he won 11 Premier League titles.
Bernardo Silva got 90 goals, man. Come on.
He won 11 Premier League titles. He got 4 Player of the Months.
He did it all. Man. Oh my god. And you're saying he's not tying anyone's boots. Oh.
But when you look at the numbers,
arguably a better ball. He had arguably a much better ball vision. He could strike, and he was a big game player as well, man. Like, he's scoring against some of the best. Obviously, I was showing you before the goal against Barcelona, mate. Like,
you've watched that one highlight video where he bossed the game against Barcelona.
Jake,
he was world class. Like,
even like I know, like, come on, and you're talking. Like, nobody here. I don't think anyone here is saying Scholes like not even in top.
Yeah, I might just find. To be honest, I might just find him not as exciting as the other names that's up there. I might just not find him as, as exciting to watch, if you like.
What's exciting about Roy Keane? What is exciting about it? Other than if you want to laugh at some big boy tackles going in.
Mate,
if you want to laugh at some 2-footed challenges, you can't. And Scholes' finesse. He can fizz a ball anywhere. Like, arguably, like, obviously, I think everyone's going to say, like, fizzing a ball like Gerrard is known as the crosser and Lampard's arguably the finisher. But, like, Scholes, what I've seen, Scholes, he's just got such good vision to do it. And you're on about, like, players, like, ability to perform in a game and not what they've won. But, like, for how good he was, like, I think the only thing you could argue was that his tackling was a bit shoddy, which obviously Roy Keane was probably only notable and his leadership skills. But the amount of time he stayed in that squad when Man United were just ridiculous, like top quality, and he was in there day in, day out, like.
Yeah, you're talking longevity
in the middle of the park, and like, and it's just rude. It's just rude, man. Honest to God. Obviously, he's he's lost a bit of respect because of doing some sussy stuff outside of football, but like on the pitch, don't know, man.
Well,
he's seventh is criminal, mate. 7th is criminal.
Well, that's what makes it so interesting, doesn't it? As if everyone had them in the same position, it would just be boring. But we'll go to the top 2 now. I'll tell you what. So Scholes had 73 points between first and second place. Second place has 91 points and first place has 92 points. That's how.
I'm not being funny. If the next name to come out your mouth is Lampard,
that's how close it is.
I'm gonna flip me shit.
I mean, it's
not gonna lie. If it isn't If the
You know
next
what it
word
is, 'cause
doesn't
it's
rhyme
Sean's
with
podcast.
Ferrard, I will change my answers and I'll put Lampard
No, I've
ahead
done this. No, I've
just
kept,
to see the world burn.
No, I've kept the integrity of the list. We've been discussing this for years, so I've always said Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes. I could have put Scholes second, put Lampard to see Gerrard win.
Sean, Scholes
I haven't done that.
Bro.
Second place with 91 points is Steven Gerrard.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Yes, there's justice.
But let's go through the positions. Let's go through the positions of where everyone had him. So Stevie G, Cam had him in second, Chris had him in first, Dylan had him in first, Jake had him in second, Curtis in third, Kyle third, Lee second, Scott third, Tom first, and myself first. So that means four people out of the 10 had Gerrard top, which was the most. So more people had Gerrard top, but because of Curtis, Kyle, and Scott, who were little Scholes fans, you know what I mean, putting him third.
Did Gerrard ever win a Prem?
Hey, if he was in any other team apart from Liverpool, he would have won multiple. You can't blame his loyalty.
Scholes made Man U.
He is the most complete player of those three.
Lampard. No, he's not.
You cannot sit in his
Lampard is miles in front of him.
No, right. Lampard, he's got as the goal scorer. Lampard's more of a number 10, getting in the box, right? Gerrard done that for a point of his career.
Wait a minute. Don't forget, he got a hell of a lot more assists. He got a hell of a lot more
Right,
assists.
that's not start this. Right, Premier League. We'll go pure Premier League, right? So, Lampard, 609 games in the Premier League, 177 goals, which is next level. 102 assists. 102 assists.
Ridiculous.
Gerrard, who played, that's how many games? 105 less games, got 120 goals, and he got 92 assists. So assist-wise, he was 10 assists off Lampard in 105
but he was never
less
catching the
games.
goals.
Yeah, but Sean, he never.
Oh no, because Gerrard's legs went. Aye.
Well, then there you go.
But Gerrard was
more
more complete. Gerrard could play as a number 10. He was playing as a right midfielder at one point. He can play the box-to-box. He can play the deep lying playmaker, which was the Scholes dictate the tempo, which he done in that season where they nearly won the Premier League. Like
I'll wait for you.
He could do it. He could do it all. Like Gerrard was more complete. But let's say the list. Like say everyone has a different opinion. I say 3 people had Lampard top and 4 people had Gerrard top. I say 2 people? 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 people had Scholes top, and then Jake was on his own with KDB. But let's say how close it was. Like I'm not saying Gerrard was like miles above. It was close. They was just unreal. But in terms of how I view it as a more complete player, it's Gerrard. But you know, Gerrard's my favorite footballer of all time. So that's why I'll stop. Jake, what about you? Because you had Gerrard higher than Lampard. What's your opinion on
it? Much what you covered there, really. You'd never see Frank Lampard dropping into CDM for a full game. So I'd just say Gerrard is the more complete player, and for what he's done some of the Liverpool teams, you look at what he's played with.
I grew up watching them, mate. Like honestly.
Awful.
You had the good ones. So you had the Gerrard and the Torres. You had the Suarez, like the Xabi Alonso's. You had them good times. But like I remember at one point there was Gerrard and he had to play with like Jay Spearin, John Joe Shelby, Andy Voronin, David Ngog, Emilio Luensua. Like honestly, some of they're just awful, like rubbish. I mean, big John Joe at Newcastle.
I would take the Count over Gerrard.
Right,
I'd take Joe Linton over Gerrard.
I'd take James Milner over Gerrard.
I'd take Jordan Henderson over Gerrard.
I would take Jordan Henderson over Gerrard.
Exactly, Scott. This is why.
I would take Lee Cattermall over Gerrard.
I did. Sorry, I was actually meant to say Lee Cattermall. Dylan did originally have him in 10th position, but
honourable mention.
Yeah, honourable mention. I will do that because he said, and if it wasn't Cattermall, it would be Kante. So
honourable mention should be Johan Cabaye, bro. Fucking Cattermall, come on now.
So I did promise Dylan I would give Cattermall a mention out, even though he was an absolute, shit, absolute fucking shit.
Ew.
But
Lee Cat, if you're watching, we love you.
Well, why do you not read Gerrard as much in Curtis and
Because he didn't score as much as Lampard and he didn't assist as much as Lampard. And
like, I'm not even just
so
going
how
off,
can you have them below
stats.
Scholes then? How can you have them below
Scholes outside the foot of it against Barcelona, and that's all I need to
What
say
about
that.
Gerrard's? What about Gerrard in Champions League final?
See, I'm telling you, man, he's finally watched that highlight video.
Just because I wasn't at the game for
It's
viewing Scott, right,
the
doesn't mean
coach,
I can't see quality when I see quality, right?
I'll give you an idea, right? So, Gerrard, if you took Gerrard out of that Liverpool team and put Lampard in that Liverpool team, do you think they would have the same effect?
Sorry, answer the question. Say the question again.
So, if you took Gerrard out of that Liverpool team and put him, like, to swap them around, so like Gerrard was with all these ballers like the Terrys and stuff, and you put Lampard in that Liverpool team, do you think Lampard would have as much as an effect as Gerrard did?
He score more.
Because it's just cap. If you
score
think
more.
It's just cap.
He score more.
So you think
it's obviously hard to do that though, because you
do more than Gerrard.
He was a leader. He was a more complete player. He was a leader for one. Like, he carried that team on his back. When you think of Liverpool, you think of Gerrard. With Chelsea, fair enough, Lampard, but you've got your Drogba, Ashley Cole, your Petr Cech,
your
John
Torres
Terry.
now?
Torres was there for 2 years. He was the best striker in the world for about 2 years, and then his knee went, and he was.
You got to admit, Liverpool, like Gerrard played with arguably some of the best people that ever graced the Premier League.
Sure,
in the
not
he played with Suarez,
not consistently,
in his prime, lad, and he was the one who slipped up.
Suarez, right? Okay, but do you not remember the rest of the team?
Do you not remember Chelsea?
Do you not remember the rest of the team?
Scored that goal?
Do you not remember the rest of the team that Liverpool had in that season when they had Joe Allen in centre mid as well?
Yeah, but how many goals did Suarez get? And it wasn't.
It was not about Suarez. It was about Gerrard. We're not about
yeah,
Suarez.
no, but like when you say he carried the team, like
it was at the end of his career. He was at the end of his career. He was out of his prime. He was literally coming to the end of his career, and he played with Suarez. He said he was the best player he's played with, but he says he preferred playing with Torres because he was in his prime. Like Gerrard decimating him and Torres decimating Real Madrid 4-0 at Anfield. Gerrard, these last minute winners. Like I say, like obviously he equalised. Sorry, it was an equaliser against West Ham when he scored that thunderbolt. He's started the Istanbul comeback. He scores against Olympiacos and stuff. There's no, I can't think of a person who can strike a ball better than Gerrard. Like,
first place could.
And we'll move on to first place because, like I say, I can talk about Gerrard all day and fight the cause, the cause. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, Lampard has come first with 92 points. Let's say a point ahead. Don't get us wrong, I love Lampard. I think he is class. As obviously, I'm just more of a Gerrard guy. But Lampard's stats, let's have a look. So 609 games, 177 goals, 102 assists. He has been Player of the Season once. He's won 3 Premier League titles, and he's had 4 Player of the Month awards. So let's see. Positions we had Cam had him in first, Chris in second, Dylan in second, Jake in third, Curtis in second, Kyle in second, Lee in first, Scott in first, Tom in second, and myself in second. So highest here was Scott. So what's Lampard do for you? Why is he your favourite Premier League player, like midfielder of all time?
Yeah, I just think he's the full package. I think he's got everything.
So you think he could tackle better and ping a ball better than Gerrard?
Yes.
Better leader than Gerrard?
Yes.
Awful. That's such cap. I don't get it. How can you watch? No, like Lampard going forward, I'll give you it. He was better, but he's not. He's not. I don't get it. Gerrard was like Scholes was classed as the best passer, but Gerrard wasn't too far off Scholes in passing. He could ping a ball. Lampard could as well.
Lampard.
Who's Scholes is 7th, man? How could be the best passer if he's 7th, bro?
I'm 3rd, mate.
7th, mate.
But yeah, Jake, what about you? Why do you have Lampard?
Super Frank.
Super Frank.
The English talisman I read. That's what someone said. On his day, devastating. On his day.
I think for Frank Lampard, it's for me what I like about it was his intelligence, his work off the ball. He was always cropping up in the right areas, what's obviously led to him getting so many ridiculous goals from his midfield position. It's just, I don't make the list off of, the rewards and accolades, but what he's achieved in goals is just something you can't, ever escape. It's just brilliant. How's he managed that? Mm-hmm. And it's through that intelligence to get into those positions that he makes second for me.
No, fair enough. Curtis, what about you?
Well, for Lampard, I just it's just his ability to perform. Longevity is another thing I think as well. Like considering how young he started playing, like, and just to like keep improving, keep getting better. Like, I think arguably he played quite a different role as well. That's like one thing to mention, and that's why I found it quite mad that he had so many more assists than Gerrard, considering like Gerrard's. Like, well, I suppose it kind of makes sense if he's higher up the park, but like, and obviously he's had some phenomenal teams around him, and he's pretty. I don't know if there's a. He's won a Premier League title, Champions. Has he won a Champions League? He has, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the FA Cups and stuff, but he's just. If you need somebody in the team, because at the end of the day, to win a game, you got to score. Like, you can carry the team and whatnot, but if you want somebody who is just going to be devastating, and it's in his like goal scoring record,
so you'd say like a big game player to just score that goal.
You just need him. Like, for me, and that's obviously why I put him second behind Scholes ahead of Gerrard. But like, yeah, again, it's pretty close because arguably you could say a lot of things about Gerrard, and it would be the same for like I get a lot of people who maybe even support Chelsea would feel like that undying love that you feel for Gerrard, most biased thing I've ever heard. Obviously, being a Liverpool fan once upon a time for Gerrard, it would be the exact same dedication for Lampard at Chelsea, and that's just the legacy he's built up just over the years. So many times he's been that talisman for them in the centre, like even for England as well. Never really worked out as well as it should have for the likes of him and Gerrard, like being in the same team. But in my eyes, he's just always been a legend, and I've never mind Chelsea like growing up and things. Probably like detested Man U, but I say whenever watching them, like the Lampard's. Well, I say they're all different though.
For me though, like I say though, that's the thing. Like I was a big game player, but was Gerrard not more of a big game player though?
Nah, because he didn't.
Gerrard's only played to score in the Champions League, UEFA Cup, FA Cup, and League Cup final. I'd say that's 4 finals there. I'd say that's pretty big game.
He's definitely more of a clutch player, but like Lampard got more goals, didn't he? So
and again in a better team, miles better teams.
It's not Lampard's fault though, is it? And you've got to think, obviously, like
you have to look at the managers though. Like Ferguson tried to get Gerrard 3 times. Mourinho tried to get him. Mourinho wanted Makelele, Gerrard, and Lampard. I mean that would have just killed the Premier League. They wouldn't have lost, but I see all these managers trying to get Gerrard and stuff, like.
Yeah, but that argument would have been the case if Lampard was at a road club as well.
But I don't think Lampard would have the same effect if he wasn't in the team like Gerrard, because Gerrard's more complete.
There's no way there's no way he's not scoring as many.
Maybe wasn't Lampard at
West Ham.
West Ham?
Yeah.
West Ham.
And then they got pinched pretty quickly. Gerrard had this undying loyalty for his club where he was never going to go anywhere. So
I'd say it's one of those debates.
Definitely admirable, but like
you would never know if it out there in the multiverse somewhere Gerrard's playing at like Chelsea,
playing with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield.
You would never know, mate. You would never know. Like, imagine what numbers he could have got if he went to a team where there was just a plethora of talent around him, always, filtering through. Like Chelsea's team always changed.
Mm-hmm. I say, well, we've went through the list. Like I say, we've went through all of that. Lampard,
So are you now going to go with the so you're, despite all the bias you have for Gerrard now, are you finally going to admit that people have spoken on this one?
Hey, it's 10 people and it was 1 point between it. You know what I mean? It's you can't get any closer. But
it's definitely close. It's definitely close.
Yeah.
But
all I'm saying is Gerrard is the. Does he come second?
He's used to that as well. He's used to coming second.
Yeah. He just slipped.
Does that well. He does it well though. I think there's nobody better than Gerrard at doing that. You know what I mean?
Let's leave it out, boys. Well, let's say Lampard wins this one, so he's the best Premier League midfielder of all time in this list. And I say we'll be doing more like defenders, wide midfielders / wingers. I know Kirsty tried to put Ryan Giggs as centre mid, and I wasn't having that. Like so.
Yeah, Ryan Giggs is most.
He's
I
honestly
lost
most
my
overrated.
shit when I found out you'd put Giggsy on it.
Giggs number 10, man. Nah, should have
Not
been.
happening. But now we'll be doing goalkeepers.
Respect the willpower of Giggs, man.
Goalkeepers,
Fucking
strikers.
got more longevity than any player on this list mentioned, man. Come on.
No, but we'll be doing all the individual ones. The goalkeepers, defenders, strikers. We'll be doing all-time
Wingers as well, though.
The class is wide midfielders / wingers. We'll be doing all-time Premier League exercise, all that stuff. Talking about the normal Premier League season. So we'll talk about Newcastle takeover eventually. Let's just
Can I just bring a question up as well? Sorry, I don't know what time are we on now, Sean?
About hour 10.
How long you want to keep it?
Probably like I was wrapping up there. Like
you wrap up, bro. Sorry about that, mate.
Go on, ask your question. Ask your question. Go on, get it in there.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So my question would be right. So you know how we were doing this, and obviously this is kind of a prequel to maybe if we do the strikers of all time kind of thing, right? But Jake made an interesting point before when he said he was going down to individual players, right? And he players, like attributes, stats, complete, like
based
you know,
on
the
ability.
full package and things like that, based on ability and things like that. And he wasn't looking at titles and letting that kind of skew anything. But like, I'd put money on this. So, and we've obviously spoke about this, Harry Kane, right? And obviously, as an English goal scorer, Premier League goal scorer, like, he has been doing madness for in and out. Obviously, taking a bad dip now recently, and why I'd like to wind you up and slate him. If he doesn't win a Premier League, like,
if you're gonna say just Harry Kane getting the top 10, if you don't have Harry Kane in your top 10, I'm honestly gonna egg your house.
He's number one for dribbling.
There it is.
What did he say?
He said number one for dribbling because he dribbles out of his gob.
Well, he's consistent on his list, but like, in your top 10 list, I guarantee the fact of him not winning a recognised trophy will impact where you would have him in years to come in your list of strikers. Guarantee it. If he doesn't win it.
For me, I'm just trying to think of strikers off the top of my head. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's not even in. Just thinking of people off the top of my head. He's not even in the top 5 so far for me. But let's say it's. I know what you mean. You're saying because I've had Gerrard number 1. He's never won a Premier League. How can I then say, oh well, Kane? How can I put? I know what you mean. But
I don't think he's going to win anything. Unfortunately, like it's not like I don't think he will.
If he goes to City, he will. But
I don't think it'll happen though.
I think it's past now.
Past his, but yeah, he's so, and he's not gonna get in Liverpool and no Chelsea. Well, yeah, big boy Lukaku, you know what I mean. But
just a fantastic Ricky Lambert.
No, that's not doing me disservice.
No, obviously, like I say, he's a baller, like, but I guarantee you that, like, when you think of all-time best and things like that, because I think for some, even say like you say Suarez, like, I don't believe he won anything at Liverpool, but you saw how good he could be. And when he left, especially when he left Barcelona and stuff, and he may have got, like they say, the titles. Kane has stayed here, and I just know, like, that's why I kind of go bullshit a little bit on this. Like, I'm only judging the player for the player, and only that, you know what I mean? Because it's not. It's just when it works for you. Like, because I guarantee you, if he pulled out a Champions League Tottenham when they were in the final against Liverpool, and he managed to win the league, maybe when Tottenham were like second, I think, against City when they were clutching it and then bottled it, like, he would have been so much higher. Potentially, I think he would have. I think it's fact he would have been in people's opinions, and he scored ridiculous amount of goals, and he's played.
If he picks his form back up, he'll beat Shearer's record. That's just fact. But
fair point what Curtis is making, because
it is a
fair point. It's going to come into your mind a bit more from memory if they've won more, or they've won like at major finals and things like Champions League and.
That's where I find it different.
Based it exclusively on the Premier League, which is for the era that we're looking at has probably been dominated by four teams, 4 teams. Yeah.
Again, though, Curtis, you do make a good point. Like I say, Kane, but like he hasn't won a Premier League, but he's won nothing. He hasn't even won I think he's won a Mickey Mouse Cup in a pre-season. Like for Gerrard, he hasn't won the Premier League, but
if you go off,
done all the Champions League and the FA Cups and stuff. He still carried his team to success, and like Gerrard was a phenomenon. Like Kane is good, but like Gerrard he's just world known, like because he was just that good. So that's why like I feel it's slightly different, but I do get what you mean. Like Kane will not be in the top 5
because you know what I'm saying. Because Kane, you could argue like look at the team he's in. Look at Spurs. You know what I mean? Like they've got a few good players like around him and stuff, but like on average, like they aren't world beaters. You know what I mean? Like but then you go, well, look at his individual stats, like or say like happy golden boots or whatever. Like, but in the grand scheme of things, he's not won. Like unless you are just a massive like Harry Kane fanboy, and then you will just kind of have him high or whatever. But like at the end of the day, that's why I think it's hard to separate the player from what the team has won, because in some obviously give or take it does tie in together. Like that's where the legacy is, that's where the success is, when the player and the team and everything is right. And like say Spurs weren't exactly an awful squad, and they've even had the chance, like they've gone as far as finals and or made it really close, but they haven't managed to get that final win.
You've got to factor in, like, if a player is, we're talking about a striker position here at the top end of the pitch, if your team in the middle of the park aren't doing their bit and winning the ball and getting it up to you quick enough in transition, you're going to then look bad or not look as good of a striker as maybe are. What Harry Kane does brilliantly is when he does get those chances, he takes them. He's as far as we've seen for a good few seasons, he's quite the clinical striker.
And would you say Kane's regression that he's had now, is that an overhyped regression he's had now, or is this quite one of the most severe regressions you've ever seen for a player of standard?
No, it's 15 games into the season and the team's been in a shambles.
I mean, I don't attribute that to him. I really don't.
He's had all this saga about meant to be leaving and stuff, and he's
there's
going to be shit and stuff like that. I
can't pin it on just him in CR when he's lost it. Do you know what I mean? It was his ability is there after 15 games.
Salah went like 8 games without getting a goal like 1 or 2 seasons ago, and everyone was on about him being finished. Look at him now; he's best player in the world currently. Like he'll come back. Like he hasn't got any. Obviously, he's had a few injuries and stuff like that, but it's nothing like Torres level or anything where it's a completely different level of.
That's what I mean. The higher up the pitch you go, the harder it is for them to look good, because everyone else behind them has to get there, but it makes this, and that's maybe where the team needs to step up.
Yeah, but what we'll do, boys, because I say the striker one, I think there's gonna be a lot more debate when it comes to the striker, so we'll leave it for that. So we'll wrap this episode up. So I'll leave a link down to Sharky Does Sports Podcast. That's what I listen to all the time. It's a class podcast, so I got the idea from. So check that out. Like and subscribe if you do like the content. We'll put more out on a weekly basis, hopefully. But bye, boys. Thank you very much for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Nice. All
good.
All right. See you later. Take care, boys.
Until next time.